Well, here we are again, and it is another day for another pointed reflection. If you want, let's just stay with the pointed reflection. If you have something else you'd like to bring it. But these are exciting for me, and I love these. So let's dip into forgiveness and freedom.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that applies today.
I hope so.
More than ever. And we all need to hear it.
Yeah, it's based upon first letter of John,
Okay.
chapter 4, verse 18 and on.
Okay. Give us some context, if you would.
Where he says, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not reached perfection in love. We love because God loved us first. Those who say, I love God, and hate their brothers or sisters are liars. For those who do not love a brother or sister whom they have seen cannot love God, whom they have not seen. The commandment we have from him is this: those who love God must love their brothers and sisters also. That's First John.
So if you love God, but you can't stand your neighbor, it doesn't count. You have to fulfill both sides.
That means the God you love is a creation of your own imagination.
Well, I think some people fall into that.
And a lot of gods that are products of our imagination today.
That's very true.
Everything God. Everybody quotes God. One man says of our president, God sent you to us. And someone else across the world says he is destroying God's work. He's a child of the devil. Okay, who's right?
Well, I would like to answer that, but I'm imagining the pointed reflection might give us a better idea as to how or who.
So we all talk of love. The whole world needs love. This is the song goes.
All you need is love. Da 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 da.
Okay.
That's copyrighted. Beatles, by the way.
And the sermons we hear every week about love, until we're sick of hearing about it, or so. People fall in love and out of love overnight. So it's an overused term.
Okay.
And that's the problem with the word love. There are a number of different kinds of love, you know.
Okay, this I'm interested in.
There is the love which is friendship love. This is in the Greek word. Then there is a love which is physical love.
Okay.
Then there is love which is agape love, which is the love of God.
Okay.
True freedom springs from forgiveness. I've digressed for a minute, but I'm going to come back to it. We just celebrated freedom.
Yes, we did.
And I hope you enjoyed it more than I did.
I actually do not usually do much on 4th of July. For me, it's just more sleeping. But I actually had a really good time this year.
That means you had a really good sleep.
You would think, but I actually went out and spent time with my son, and the fireworks are always interesting. What I thought was really funny, it's a little desensitization, was about 2 days before the 4th of July. You know, the bangs started going off everywhere. And I would jump, and my son would jump, and Erica would jump, and the cats would jump, and the dog would jump. And after about 2 days, these things would go off right by our house. Boom! Nothing. Nothing. And they're still going. It's days and after.
Yeah.
But the fun part I heard, and this was interesting, was a couple weeks ago we talked about there was some drones flying around looking for people. And I thought that was a little invasion of privacy, but it's public property. I get it.
Mhm.
But now Erica told me that the drones were used to find the people lighting off the illegal fireworks, and that they were able to identify them with facial scan technology and send them $1,000 ticket
Well, I hope
for every illegal firework they set off.
they got the 13-year-old kid who set fire in Laguna Beach. You heard about that?
I did not.
Oh, yeah, they got him.
How do you set fire to a beach?
Laguna Beach community.
Oh, no.
In the hills. In the hills around it.
No, the hills are dry.
They acted very quickly and fast, contained it to 4 acres.
4
Because
acres?
Laguna Beach can go up like a tinderbox.
Yes, it can.
So that canyon, especially that you drive through, every time I drive through, I say, I hope I get out before the fire gets in here.
And
yeah,
I know what you mean by spreading quickly. It's moments, not minutes.
Well, the days of disaster are upon us.
Okay. Erica, we're still good?
The scripture we're talking about, John, is reflecting what was beginning to happen in the early church. They were beginning to get on each other's nerves.
Okay.
and beginning to argue with each other.
I don't want to reference The Chosen like every time you say something, and I hear a lot of pastors referencing The Chosen now, but I remember the scene where they started arguing while Jesus was healing people.
Well,
they argued.
I haven't seen Chosen, so I predate the movie.
Good. Fantastic, because once you see the scene, everybody references the same thing.
Well, it was happening. It's in the scriptures. Apostles Peter and Paul argued, and if they argue, who am I not to argue? And John is sensitive to the fact that the body of Christ was beginning to fall apart.
Okay.
Come apart.
Okay.
And he is anxious to have them maintain the kind of solidarity that Christ asked for and prayed for and commanded, a commandment.
Okay.
The commandment we have from Jesus is to love one another.
Correct.
And that is found in John chapter 13, and I'm not sure if it's the same author or not, but tradition says it's the same author who wrote the letters as well as the book of John.
Okay.
And John writes in chapter 13 about the commandment that Jesus gave.
Okay.
Here it is. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and as I said to those others, so now I say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples.
Wow.
A new commandment. And this new commandment is explained to us in chapter 15, where he says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Abide in me, and I in you. And the rest of the chapter moves from that point to a very down-to-earth, doable, practical way of fulfilling Jesus' commandment. It's by loving one another. By loving one another, abiding in one another, you are abiding in me, said Jesus.
Correct.
So we have changed that today to correct doctrine.
Okay.
how I explain things, what I say about the Bible, about life after death, etc., etc. It's not what constitutes the connection that Jesus is looking for, and John is emphasizing.
Okay.
Now, love, according to Jesus, according to John, is the way to God. Let me say it this way. I said, beginning, forgiveness springs from freedom. Forgiveness springs from grace.
Mm.
Grace springs from love. And love springs from God.
Wow.
A person who has experienced forgiveness is a free person. And a free person is he who has experienced God.
Wow. That sentence right there alone.
Okay. Now that's what I want to dwell on today. We are so quick to judge each other, and in judging each other, separate ourselves from each other.
Yes.
Separation is today the most obvious phenomenon in the Church of Jesus Christ.
That's amazing. Still.
Separation. There is no forgiveness. You don't believe like I do? I'm leaving you. Goodbye. The next thing, person sitting next to me will say to me, you don't believe what I do? Goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this phenomenon is just the opposite of what we're talking about. As a result, we are not free. We are bound by our own prejudices, our own attitudes, by our own belief systems. We are prisoners of our own thoughts.
Wow.
Freedom springs from forgiveness. If I forgive you, I will be free. But if I don't, you'll be binding me.
Mm.
And forgiveness springs from grace. I forgive not because you have satisfied my demand for apology, but because I have a wellspring within me of God's love, which is grace, which is unearned favor. Grace is unearned favor. It is love in action.
Wow.
Love is a sentiment, grace is action.
Okay.
If you say you love somebody but don't do anything, no action, it's meaningless.
Correct.
So all this talk about love, if it does not translate to grace,
It's not love.
which is the ability to live with those with whom you disagree, which is the church. That's what he's talking about.
Now it's starting to sink in.
And it springs from God's love for us. God loves you not because you finally have become the good boy he wanted you to be from day one, but because love says you are the person that I will relate with, even though that person isn't necessarily worthy of my love. That's salvation grace.
Wow.
That's God in Christ saving us. Now, obviously, we have many among us who gladly claim to have experienced God, but are not free people. They're not free.
No.
How free am I? How free is our listener? Whoever you are, I hope you are there.
I'm imagining they're not very free.
This haunting question grips me because I am learning to love, and that is not easy to do. It is not easy to do.
No.
You learn to love by accepting the love of someone else.
Wow.
And you learn to love by accepting God's love for you. So our connection with God isn't fear, which is what he's talking about.
Okay.
Religion is based on fear.
Correct.
I'm afraid I'll die and go to hell. You don't know how many times people ask me this question. Yesterday, I was on the phone with somebody asking me the question, how about if I die, what will happen? What about hell? That's fear. But perfect love casts out fear. So if I'm learning to love, I'm learning how God is seeking me in God's love. Because I've accepted his forgiveness, that becomes for me the focus, the center, the source of my ability to love.
Okay.
Jesus talked about that. He talked about the man who owed somebody some money.
Correct.
And he went and begged him, please forgive me. I have family. I'm up to my ears. Forgive me. He was forgiven. But then he went and there were those who owed him. And he said, pay up, you son of a gun, or else I'll throw you in.
I know the story.
Okay.
I know the story.
Okay.
I actually know the story.
Okay, good. Now that's what I'm talking about. I'm learning to accept people in the openness with which God has accepted me. And you know something? It is a beautiful thing to experience. It is life learning to appreciate all kinds of food after I have for years been eating just one item. Samira had a nephew, all he ate was macaroni cheese. That's it. Macaroni cheese. Mac and cheese.
That's not gonna.
Mac and cheese. Many times we went to restaurants, he always ordered mac and cheese.
Wow.
Yeah, babies, children are like that.
Yes.
Now he's in college now. I wonder if he's eaten anything more.
Now it's probably top ramen and cheese.
But there's so many of us who are fed theological mac and cheese,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all we know.
That's right. Good. Very good reference.
And I say, what a shame. You go to a restaurant, a found menu, and you order mac and cheese. We are not free because we are afraid, and fear is denial of faith. What are we afraid of? First, we're afraid of God, then we're afraid of others. I'm afraid of you, I'm afraid of my neighbor.
Afraid of going to hell?
I'm afraid of going to hell. And so I try to appease God so he won't send me to hell. That's childish.
It is. And this is how a lot of places run.
Well,
I mean, America's
yeah.
basically built on fear.
To walk ahead even when the destination is not revealed to us, that is faith. It is faith that dares to be different.
Wow.
Perfect love casts out fear.
So if we're in a place that breathes financially on fear and we try to interject some perfect love, it's going to really screw up the system. It's going to really gunk up the gears in some of these places, right?
Well, it's tough to answer the question. How do you change a system that's built on judgment and fear of punishment and fear of destruction? How do you do that? I don't know. We are back to square one in our country. I weep when I hear our president using fear as a means of sustaining order. When I saw that picture of armed with their vehicles, armed vehicles and all in MacArthur Park yesterday, the day before, I thought I was watching a picture out of Iraq.
Yes. Or some distant war.
And it's intentional to create fear to control.
Yes.
And is this America? No, it isn't. I don't go for it.
It's not constitutional, that's for sure.
Pray that I'll be able to forgive the ones who is perpetrating that kind of fear. I don't know what it is. I thank God had a lot of love in my life. Did you?
Massive amounts of love.
Yeah.
My father loved me like you could tell. And I'm excited because Colson is now turning 6 soon,
Mm.
which means that right around 9 or 10, he's gonna start watching football with me, which was my favorite time with my dad. And I'm gonna have those times again. Except
Good.
I'll be the dad this time.
Good.
And I see him love me. And it was only yesterday where something happened. He was in Kung Fu. And something happened. He started crying and he said, "Daddy, I can't do Kung Fu with you kind of looking over me doing my moves."
Helicopter dad.
Yeah. And he never said anything like that before. And minutes later, when they come for the break, get a break after half an hour, and he comes in for the break and he's crying again. "Daddy, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I want you to watch me. I want you to be there for me." And I instantly said, "I forgive you. You should know. Instantly, I forgive you. I don't have any bad feelings. I know you're under pressure when you're trying to perform."
Well, that's a classic example of a kid wants recognition, but as he grows up, he wants freedom. So how can he be himself and prove himself without a helicopter dad or a teacher or a pastor hovering over him?
And it crossed my mind for a second. Are we good? Would he not want me to watch him anymore, Kung Fu? There's a lot of parents that are outside in the cars, and I thought maybe they were outside because they were disconnected from their child. But maybe now I'm thinking their child asked them to go wait in the car so they don't feel so...
Either that or don't be so overpowering in your watch over or watch are two different approaches.
And I learned that lesson yesterday in an amazingly short time.
I'm glad he told you that.
I can just smile, and when you look to me, I will clap or I will acknowledge, but I'm not going to helicopter.
And that's an excellent...
It's a simple explanation. It's a Kung Fu class.
It's a simple, wonderful parable of God, how God works with us.
Huh.
God does not overpower us with his attention, but God is there.
Is there.
How to believe that in faith and to act on it and to discover the freedom that God wants us to have. The truth shall make you free.
Oh.
Jesus said that.
Really?
Yeah. The truth shall make you, if you follow in my words, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's for today.
Wow. I absolutely adore these sessions.
Blessings on you.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for going over the Bible, and thank you for going over your pointed reflection. So let me ask you a question, and I'll make this personal since it applies to me, and maybe you can help me since I'm right here. I am coming across where what they call now the trendy term is church hopping.
Yeah.
And we go to different churches looking for...
You were at number 29 last time, now you're 38?
Well, we have a regular Sunday church, but I really enjoy Friday churches and Saturday churches. Yeah. And we went to an outreach church of these people who are missionaries in Saudi Arabia for over 20 years.
How did they last? Did they get thrown out?
They had some really solid concepts. There was some amazing stuff thrown in there with some absolute fluff. And the thing that I told Erica, am I right? Am I wrong? There was a lot of fluff? The thing that I told Erica was like, I don't understand, and this is what I understand, and this is the question I want to ask you. And I've wanted to ask you this for a couple days now. Why have they turned church into like this setup where all these chairs are facing one way and facing one person, and that person is put on a pedestal from everybody else? Well, why can't there be, which I've always felt was, put somebody in the middle? I believe when Jesus did his Sermon on the Mount, correct me if I'm wrong, that he walked through the crowd. Well, why is the preacher always...
Not always. There are some modern churches they use movable chairs and they put them in a circle.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And there is no high...
Yeah, I don't like platform. That. And I dealt with that in my Hebrew, the bima. Yeah. It's the same thing as a pulpit. It's we're up here and you're over there. Why can't it be? I thought it was supposed to be more together.
Well, it's a it's to accommodate the ability for everybody to see, first of all,
Okay.
up high.
Okay.
You go to a theater.
Yeah. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like it's a show. And they go call it a service. When I see all the TV production, I see that all that other stuff, it seems like a show to me.
Well, that's what
And sometimes not even a good one.
That's what happens when the show attracts to begin with. That's how you grow. You grow it with the show.
That actually leads into something we've been working on, which is growth versus depth. Do you want to grow a larger congregation, or do you want to deepen the love of Christ with the people you have?
Well, to grow with the love of Christ is very slow. And in this day and age, doesn't pay the bills. You got to have the thousands coming in to pay the
lights and the
piper and all that. So we have created a phenomenon which is not biblical.
Okay.
And the phenomenon is based upon materialism and social constructs.
Okay.
To attract and hold your customers.
That sounds very consumerism. It sounds very transactional.
It's a consumerist age, and the church that does not do it dies. And that, to me, is a paradox of it all. The kind of love we're talking about is not building an institution; it's maintaining relationships.
You know, the part of the church that actually excites me the most is at the very beginning. And the church I go to says, we're going to prepare to worship. And as we do, please stand up and greet some people around you that you do not know. And about 30 to 45 seconds into that, where you're just getting to know somebody new, they ring a bell like it's at school.
Well,
get back to your seat, sit down, and watch.
Enough of that. Well, this is called, many churches do that. We used to do that all the time. A moment for passing the peace, we called it.
Oh, okay.
It comes from the ancient church. If you've been in Orthodox church, at a certain point they come and they kind of bow to each other like this. Have you seen that? Well, that's the old kiss, the ancient kiss, but they don't get very close. It's the gesture.
Mm.
And Paul says, greet one another with a holy kiss. Yeah. I could look it up if I had a...
No, that's fantastic. We can...
Greet one another with a holy kiss. That has been a very... by the way, are we still on?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah.
Well, it's a...
you want to do something off the record here?
We have formalized it just like everything else about worship. And it has become part of our ritual. Paul wasn't talking of ritual, he was talking of sharing the love of God.
I've often thought that there was, I used to think that Celebrate Recovery was the first step into Christianity, because you realize you have a problem and you want to fix it, your hurts, your hang-ups, your habits, the 12 steps. Very obviously, Alcoholics Anonymous, it's a very similar thing, but it's religious in intent. And then we learned about lamenting. And of course, it's a term a lot of people don't understand. But we figured out that there's a step prior to fixing, where you just need to get it out of your system. And there's not a lot of places, and this is one thing we're excited about doing with what we're doing in our ministry, is just listening and letting people let it out. And I think if there was a little more of that and a little less religion, I think people might connect a little bit more. They might find out everybody kind of has the same problems.
The question is, after they let it out, what do you do?
Haven't got there yet. After you get it out, then you start to recover. Then, right?
Well, maybe so.
Lament and then and start recovery. And I do mean celebrate recovery.
It all depends on the response you get.
That is very true.
If the circle in which you're doing so is an affirming, supporting circle, yes. But if not, they'll say, "Oh my goodness."
It's just a bunch of throwing shade, as they say.
They're washing dirty laundry in public.
Okay.
It makes them uncomfortable.
So the context is important.
Of course, and you know this, you don't open your heart to somebody who any Tom, Dick, and Harry. That person has to be the kind of person you trust is going to listen to you and affirm you
And not
after it's
spin your
done.
words, yeah.
But if they're just doing it because it's part of a ritual in a church service, of course it's going to take more than 30 seconds. And they don't have that kind of time. The preacher has to have his 30 minutes or 40 minutes to preach.
Which I completely disagree with. I always tell them, make it a TED Talk. You have 15 minutes and 32 seconds. Go.
Well,
40 minutes.
well,
And it is 40 minutes, too. In some churches, it's an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, that's the trend. So the new churches, the minister goes on and on and on and on. And I listen to them on TV. I say, what are you listening to this crap?
I couldn't agree more.
They are talking nonsense. And why are people
Listening.
hypnotized by nonsense?
Great word.
Why?
Great word.
Why are they?
Because I think there's nothing but nonsense out there right now.
Because they're part of the scene and they don't want to be spoilers.
Everybody's faking it. Oh, I like that even more. No spoiler alerts. Fake it in front of everybody so that you fit in. I just never agreed with that. We all have problems. Why can't we talk about them?
And that's why a big church is an anomaly. You cannot do this in a big church. And that's why big churches I know, Rick Warren, for example, I knew personally.
Okay.
He worked very hard to create small groups, churches within the church. And you were immediately put into a small church.
Small group, yep.
Small group.
That's exactly what they do after they have Celebrate Recovery is a little bit of worship, a little bit of singing. I didn't know worship meant singing, but that's what the term is now. A little bit of singing. You get maybe a testimonial, and then you break off into your groups, the men's groups, the women's groups. There's an eating group. There's a sex addiction group. There's different groups, and they're all less than 10 people.
But they can do only so much in one meeting.
Yeah,
these subgroups meet in homes, different homes, and each one becomes a church. You're back to the home church. You're back to the home church concept where it all began. The Christian church began in homes. It did not begin in sanctuaries built by Reverend so-and-so. Okay? And now, back to the church in the home. I cherish that. And if we can carry it to that point where the church in the home is led by a trusted, mature believer Christian who's wise, is a good listener.
Definitely good listeners. Got to be the number one.
Okay.
So that means introvert pastors are actually better. Wow.
Except introvert pastors are not necessarily better. It's what do you do if sister so and so comes up with a problem? What do you do afterwards? You go and say, what can we do to help you in your situation? You know, between you and me, we're here for you.
Wow, and I definitely have never had that.
Okay, that's where the rubber hits the road. And in a church where we don't follow through with people in need, it becomes nothing but a show. And Americans are good at putting on shows.
Hey, you're talking to one of the best showmen on the planet.
Yeah, so
I learned from some of the best.
So that's the challenge you have. It's more than the show.
We reference this movie Leap of Faith with Steve Martin. He was an evangelist that there was no rain, and he couldn't make it rain, and he couldn't get the people to believe,
Texas.
And then he quit being an evangelist. He just hopped on a truck and left the whole show behind. And as he's leaving at the end of the movie, it starts raining.
He's on the way to Texas?
Probably. All right.
Well.
Now, that's a great point of reflection with a question at the end, my friend.
Bless you all. What can I say?
It is always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I do mean always. You have never come here and spent time with us, and we haven't learned something. It's a double negative, but the fact is we always learn something when you come here. And I am a much better person for having this time with you.
Thank God for that.
And I think this is the answer. This one-on-one time is fantastic. I can ask my questions. I can voice my opinions. And I know a lot of new Christians have these same questions. Like you said, they're afraid to ask them because they don't want to stand out. But boy, do I.
And this is the thing. People get tired of people with questions all the time. So you got to be careful.
So keep them to a minimum, huh?
One question, please.
Yes. You get one ticket, and one ticket gives you one question, and after that, move along.
Per person per week. You got 1,000 people in church. How are you going to do that?
That's fantastic.
So Reverend Sanders stands up there like a prima donna and talks like he's God's mouthpiece when he's spouting nonsense.
And I've heard some nonsense in my day, my friend.
Well, I hope I'm not spouting nonsense.
I know, that's why you're still here. We don't invite nonsense into our personal space. All right, let's cut it and cut.